guys, it's Dana again, and I'm going to do another video. It's kind of in the Summer Camp Slashers series. I had a couple of people ask me about the Sleepaway Camp films whenever I did my Summer Camp Slashers video. There were at least a couple of people that commented on Sleepaway Camp. Lori being one of them, my good friend Lori. Definitely check her out on YouTube. She's under Mad Puppet Death. But this is for Lori and for anybody else that asked me to do a little review of the Sleepaway Camp films. Before I get started, I'm only going to cover the first 3 films because I don't think I can handle talking about Return to Sleepaway Camp at this point. That is such a, I'll just be upfront about it, that is a horrible, horrible film, and I just think it probably could be left out in this video. It would be fine. At a later time I might decide just to do a video on it, but be prepared. There's going to be a lot of hate when I talk about that movie because I really can't believe that the director, the same director that did Sleepaway Camp, made such a horrible film. But anyway, this is going to be like a little mini review and my thoughts on the first 3 Sleepaway Camp films. The first one is, of course, like I said, the original Sleepaway Camp. Thank God they haven't remade this thing yet. They probably will. It was directed by Robert Hiltzik. It starred Felissa Rose and Jonathan Tiersten. It's another one of your typical slasher movie setups where a young girl at camp is picked on unmercifully by several of the more popular campers. Then certain campers start getting killed off in very gruesome fashion, and I thought the effects were really, really good for, I believe this film came out in 1983, and this movie actually was very hard to find for the longest time. I remember when I was a kid, and I had seen part 2 and part 3, and my aunt had told me about part 1. And she said she had rented it at our local video store, but it had been at least 2 or 3 years before I ever got any idea that there was another film to go along with these other ones. Granted, I knew they were sequels, but I just never thought about the first one. And I didn't really think about the first one being that much different than the sequels. But this one is very different. And anyway, I remember her telling me how shocking the ending was. She didn't really tell me everything about the ending, but she just said it was really shocking to her. And so I was like, wow, I gotta see this film. So of course I went back to the local video store. Of course, I don't know what happened to their copy, if it had gotten torn up or they had just pulled it from the shelf for some reason. I also remember seeing this video at, I believe it was our local Kmart, but unfortunately I didn't buy it at that time. I wish I had. It may have been under the Video Treasures or a Good Times label. For whatever reason, it didn't stay on the shelf very long at the Kmart either. But I'll tell you, that cover, I never forgot that cover of the knife going through the tennis shoe and the blood dripping off of it. And then on the back cover of the video, it had like a, I know that a camper was supposedly riding, and then it looks like this camper got killed off before they actually finished their letter to their parents. That was, to me, that was just genius marketing, because even as the film had been crap, just that marketing alone and that packaging would have gotten people to buy the film. And that's probably more than likely what happened to it, with the packaging and all. Or maybe people had seen the sequels and they wanted, you know, they were like me, they wanted to see the first one. More than likely that was the reason why the film did not stay on the shelves very long. But anyway, I finally got to see the film on VHS, oddly enough, when one of the other video stores that I frequented was getting rid of some of their old stock, and